So let's start. Welcome to a final week, right? Like the song, it's the final countdown. It's final week from our level advanced. So congratulations because you've made it to the end. Let's check what we're going to cover in this session. We're going to talk about subject-verb inversion in conditional sentences. And we're going to check how to use adverb clauses as well in conditional sentences, okay? When we talk about condition. I have two questions for you. So let's start with the first one. Would you like to change something about your physical appearance? Now that you look, because over here we have the transition that all of us follow once we grow up. But how do you feel about yourself now? Would you like to change something?
Maybe more bird.
Can you please say that again?
I don't remember how do you say barba.
The beard.
Beard.
Beard. Mm-hmm.
Because I have a beard, but maybe more a huge
Like the
bird.
picture?
A little huge bird.
Beard. Uh-huh.
Because yeah, I have a bird, but it's not that good that I would.
So okay, but because you have like, let's say like spaces.
Yeah, a little
So
spaces.
you would say that your bird is not bushy.
Bush. Okay.
Okay, bushy, it's the word that we use when you have
Ah,
like a good,
okay.
very, I forgot the word I was going to say. Let me think about it. Yeah, bird, like a fold that covers all of your face, right? Okay. So that's something that you would like to change, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think it's something very common for you as a man, right? It's something related. Is there anything else?
I think no.
I don't think so, you would say.
I don't
Okay,
think so because
sounds more
I
natural.
I think
Okay,
my physical appearance changed a lot.
okay,
Uh, since when since I am a little boy, I changed a lot. But
okay.
I am um
Are you happy or
yeah,
confident or
I am
secure
confident.
about your physical
Yeah,
appearance?
I'm confident about
Okay,
my physical appearance.
okay, good. So my second question has to do with this first one. So, have you maybe, oh, let's change. Have you ever thought about getting plastic surgery? Now
Um,
that you talk about the beard and like the little spaces and you don't grow hair in there, like have you ever thought about getting a surgery to get all your beard like full?
about the bird, no, but lastly, I am thinking in a
I'm
surgery
thinking about.
about thinking about
I'm thinking about. Mhm.
I am thinking about as a surgery, but in my hair because yeah, because
Okay.
with the pass of the time, I my hair fall a lot,
So you would
and
say it's falling because it's a constant situation, right?
yeah,
So you have been considering a hair implant.
yes,
Okay, okay. I would say That's something common for most of men. I mean, of course,
Yes.
they usually suffer from this. It's an androgenetic thing, which causes them to have hair loss. So you would say it in that case, hair loss. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, nice. Well, great. Thanks for sharing that piece of information. Well, I placed a picture here, but if you look for plastic surgery online, it's usually for women and it's related to all parts of the body. But now that you gave me the idea about the hair implant, I'm gonna place it over there as well. Okay, now let's get into the matter. So we're going to talk about the subject verb inversion. So what subject verb inversion? What can you think of?
Eh, I don't know. It's how the word explain a kind of inversion that in some cases it's necessary for explain
Okay,
with more I lost the word
don't worry.
with more meaning about I don't know specific condition or something like that.
Okay, not quite the same as you are saying, but it has to do with inverting, as it says, flipping the order of the subject and the verb. Okay, so we're going to check that. Do you remember about conditionals, conditional sentences, little bit?
Yes.
Remember that we have already checked about different conditionals in the past? We have
Yes.
reviewed them. So just to remember, conditional sentences or clauses is more advanced, are used to show that one situation or circumstance, as it says over here, depends from another, right? So we usually, when we express a condition, there is a result. So the condition or the result better depends on the condition, whether if you, let's say, so we usually start a conditional sentence using an if, right? That's the key word that help us understand or get a better meaning about a condition, right? If you look after your health, you'll reduce the risk of developing certain diseases, for example. So reducing the risk of getting diseases depends on the care that you have about your health, right? So one sentence depends from the other. Yes? Are we good with that?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Okay,
Yes.
nice. Now, remember that in English we have different types of conditionals, right? We have 3 different conditionals, well, 4 in this case, counting the 0, and we would say that we will have 5 different conditionals, including the mixed conditionals that we have previously studied, right? And we can, let's say, classify them depending on their condition. If they refer to real situations, as we do with 0 conditional and first conditional, or unreal hypothetical situations as we do with second and third. Okay, so let's remember briefly about them. When we talk about the 0 conditional, we usually express facts or situations that are scientifically proved, right? In that case, we would use if or when. We would use simple present, and then the result of the condition also has to be in simple present. If water freezes, it turns to ice. So that's a fact, right? We don't have to, let's say, test that in order to find out. We all know that water, when it gets freeze, it's going to be, or it's going to turn into ice, right? That's a scientific fact. When we talk about first conditional, we usually express situations that can be predicted as well, that we can see it, we can prove them. And in this case, we use, in the condition, we use simple present, and then we will use will in the result, right? If it rains, we will stay at home, for example. Now, if we want to talk about hypothetical situations, like in this case, we're going to use second conditional. For example, to talk about wishes, desires, things that you would like to change. In that case, we're going to start our conditional clause using if and then had, or the past of the verb, the main verb that we are using, and then would as part of the result, right? And now when we express the third condition, which is the one that we're going to deep in a little bit now, we are going to use had as an auxiliary, right? As the past past perfect, right? In the imaginary situation. And then on the result, we can use modals, including have, might have, would have, and then the past participle of the main verb, like the one that we have over here. If I hadn't become a teacher, I might have liked to be a doctor. So you remember a little bit about the conditionals, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the third conditional. So we already said that we use it in hypothetical and real situations, right? But in this case, we're going to talk about hypothetical situations in the past, which we already did, be present in a recent past, as we do with the second conditional, right? In this case, of course, we need to use two different clauses, the condition and then the result. We're going to start the condition using if, as we usually do. Then we're going to place the subject. We're going to use had as the auxiliary and the past participle of the main verb that we are using, and then the complement. Okay. In the result clause, we're going to still have the subject. We're going to use would, okay, or a different modal. We're going to use have as an auxiliary, and then the past participle of the verb that we are using, and as well as the complement. So let's see an example. If Carl hadn't been so fit, he would have taken much longer to recover, meaning that maybe Carl had an accident, right? And he didn't spend much time recovering since or due to the fact that he was very fit. So being fit, being healthy, helped him to recover, right? Let's see over here. If we can also use it to express negative sentence. If Carl hadn't been so fit, he would have taken much longer to recover. Or remember that we can also start in the conditionals with the result and then the condition. We can switch the order. Carl would have taken much longer to recover if he hadn't been so fit. So we have the two options over here in which we can express this condition. Questions about it?
No.
Not yet, or maybe
Yes.
not. Okay, good. Okay, now let's start talking about the inversion, okay? When we use a past and real conditional sentence, sometimes people can replace the if that we have in the condition by inverting, by flipping the order of the subject, and in this case of the auxiliary, which is had, okay? We use this in formal speaking situations or when we write, okay? Let's see some examples. Had they been unable to work together, the search engine might never have been created. So this means the same as if we say, if they had been unable to work together, the search engine might never have been created. So in this case, we're by inverting, right, by doing the inversion of the subject and the verb, we are going to end up having, let's say, a formal. Okay. The meaning does not change. It is still the same, but you can find this informal speech when you are talking, probably in academic language, as well as in formal papers, okay, when you read them, okay? Let's see another example. Had I known about his behavior earlier, I would have punished him. Can you think of the long version of the sentence of number
If
two?
I had
Exactly. If I had known
about his behavior earlier,
exactly. Go on.
I would have punished him.
Exactly. So if you see this one, it's a little bit more formal. Had I known about his behavior earlier, but it's exactly the same. Okay. Let's see number three. Had he arrived sooner, we wouldn't have missed the beginning. Maybe talking about a movie or a show, right? A performance. Is it clear?
Yes.
Do we have questions thus far?
No.
Okay, good.
It's strange because how start with auxiliary had maybe I think maybe is a question, but
yes, I know. Yeah, it's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
As we check, is not very common. Okay, you only find it in very formal situations, right? This is not something that you will find maybe in the news or like common everyday speech or material, right? Or papers, or well, not papers, sorry, because papers are formal academic language. But let's say, yeah, everyday language, like series and stuff like that. Maybe you can find examples of this like in series that date like from old times, which use a more formal language. That's a probability, but it's not very common. Okay?
Okay.
Listo, good. We forgot to tell something. Don't forget that when we use conditionals, if we start with the condition, remember that you need to separate the condition and the result using a comma. That's a punctuation rule, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, don't forget that. Let's move on over here. Okay. So we can also use the same construction that we already checked in negative sentences, okay? In this case, we have to notice that the negative forms cannot be contracted. Remember that in formal language, we do not use contractions, okay? Let's say that the formal language does not accept contractions, okay? Of any type. So, of course, we're not going to contract, in this case, the sentence, okay? So we cannot separate, we cannot join the had and the contraction. We have to have it separated, okay? In the sentence. So let's see number one. Had the teacher not applied? And if you notice, the negation part comes before the verb. Not at the beginning, not had the teacher applied the test, okay? But we have it right before the verb. Had the teacher not applied the test, I would have studied in vain, okay? Or number two, had this company not created Hello Kitty, it wouldn't have become nearly so successful. And number 3, had I not saved enough money, I wouldn't have gone to the concert. Questions?
No.
No? Okay. Should in a conditional sentence, condition is real. It's not hypothetical, okay? Which means that it's going to have an effect in the present, or maybe you can have an effect in the future, okay? Got it? Brian, can you listen to me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I got a little bit confused because I got a internet problem connection or something. But did you listen to me about the should?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Okay. So don't forget that we use it when you have a real conditional. In this case, it's not hypothetical. Okay. So we could say, should you want to buy natural skincare products? This company offers over 1,200 choices. Number 2. So in this case, if you notice the condition, it's real, right? It's kind of inviting you, promoting you to buy natural skincare. Like when you have commercials like, are you tired of? Things like that. And then the result or the consequence has an effect in the present or in the future, okay? Number 2, should you need more information, contact me, okay? Should you want excellent quality meat, you must buy only from this shop. Got it? So this is also a possibility that you can use or that you can find. Okay, now this is a very particular situation in which we can use could or might, okay? So we can have the subject-verb inversion using conditional sentences with could and might, but this is not very common, okay? It's usually used in literary context or archive context, like very, very old series. Like, for example, if you check you could find things like this if you watch maybe series like from the 1800s or something like that, which use archaic language, very, very old language, okay?
Okay.
And it is often mixed with the adverbs but or just. Listo? So this is more like used in poetic, okay? It sounds poetic. So in poetry, okay? Or in literature. Remember that in literature, language changes as it does in Spanish as well, right? So you can decorate the language in order to make it more, let's say, vibrant, okay? So in those cases, only in those cases, we could use could or might. Listo? Let's see the examples that we have here. Could he but win her love? The world would be his. Meaning that if he could have the chance to win her love, his world will be better, right? Or everything in the world will be his. He will feel like the king of the world. Number 2, might I just see my country once more? My heart will find peace. And number 3, could I but just get married with her? I'll be the happiest person alive. Can you find or can you feel the poetic feeling of these sentences or no?
Yes.
So that's why it's only used for those those specific cases, okay?
Okay.
So maybe if you're interested in literature or in poetry, reading something like this is something that you can actually find, especially if you read very old poetry, okay, or very old plays. This is something that maybe you could find if you read Shakespeare, for example. Okay. Let's see another situation that you could use. When we talk about formal situations, sometimes people can replace the if at the beginning by using the past subjunctive where at the beginning when the condition is unreal. Remember that when we use hypothetical situations, when we express hypothetical situations like I wish, things like that, we usually change the past form of the verb to be, and we use where because it is hypothetical. Do you remember that? I
Yes.
wish I were younger. Things like that. So in this case, when we express the condition and it is unreal, hypothetical, in those cases, we could replace the if by using where. And in this case, where is the past subjunctive, okay? If you want to get more as a grammar expert talking about words. So let's see the examples that we have here. Were she to find enough investors, she could form a startup company. Meaning, if she would find enough investors, right? If she was able to find enough investors, she could start her own startup company, okay? Let's see the second one. Were children not to digest what they eat, they usually would have stomachache. And number 3, were you to train regularly, your running speed would improve. So over here, in these cases, we also have a condition and then a result, okay? Got it?
Yes, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very nice. Okay. So as usually over here, we have the brief explanation of it. So remember that if you talk about past unreal sentences, you can replace the if by doing the inversion of the subject and the auxiliary had, as we already checked. Remember that there are more constructions possible, right? With this, you can also use it in negative forms, okay? And we could also use should, or if you talk about literary context, you could use might or could, okay? Here we have more sentences, right? For example, when the present of the future real conditionals are expressed with should at the beginning of the sentence, right? If you are looking for a competent employee, Ted is your man, would change as. Should you be looking for a competent employee, Ted is your man, right? The same one that we already checked about could and might, right? In archaic context. And the fact that you can replace if by where if you talk about unreal conditional sentence, right? If she had been wealthy, she might not have gone into business. We could change it by saying were she to have been wealthy, she might not have gone into business, right?
Yes.
Good. Are you ready to practice?
Yes.
So we're going to combine the sentences using, of course, the conditional clause, having the condition, the result, and doing the subject verb inversion, okay? So we're going to do number 2, number 3, and number 4, okay? Since we are having a little bit of time, a time issue, and we still have to cover one more topic, okay? So I am going to give you 3 minutes. What do you think about it? Yes?
Yes.
1 minute per sentence. And if we still have a little bit more of time, or if you maybe feel like doing one more, it's good. You can do it. So, okay?
Okay.
Let's start. And please write it as usually on the screen. I can modify it to make it fit.
I have a problem.
Tell me, you cannot
Uh,
write?
I don't know, but the pencil of the tools for type of the screen are back.
Can you write on the chat? And then I can copy and paste it over here. Would that be fine?
Yeah, I type of the chat because yeah, I don't click the tools. I don't know.
Okay, no worry. All right. You can write on the chat and then I will paste it and copy and paste it over here on the screen, okay? No
Okay.
problem at all. I forgot to tell you that there are different possibilities, okay, of answers because you could use different types of, for instance, in the result part, right? You can use different words depending on the case, right? You could use could, would, as we already checked, okay? Might, maybe. Or you could have an affirmative or a negative. Or even should as well.
You can change the good for good, please.
Can you change which one? Can I change
Good,
what?
good for gooden.
Wouldn't. Like this.
Yes.
Okay. thinking about team.
Finished.
All right, give me a moment. I'm copying the last one. I think it's better this way, right?
Yeah.
We can see it a little bit better, right? But the thing is, I'm not
And
sure.
when the tool trolls me, I don't type again. They all isn't true.
Don't worry. No, I mean, it happens to everybody. Don't worry. I've had problems in the past with that as well. So you're not the only one. Don't worry about that. Okay, let's check the second one. So in the first one we have that company didn't, right, take the competition into consideration. So it went out of business, right? Look at the combination of the conditional sentence. So it says, had that company taken the competition into consideration, if they took the competition into consideration, the result is that they wouldn't have gone out of business, right? Like going out of business means that they couldn't compete anymore, right? They have to shut down the business. Yes, is that clear?
Yes.
So if you notice, not because the first one the condition is negative, it means that you have to write the negative condition. Okay, it's just helping you with the meaning. Because when you say that it went out of business, it means that it closes, right?
Yeah.
So, yes,
Yes.
that happens with number 2. Look, that fast food chain hasn't offered any health options. Because they haven't offered those options, their sales go down, right? Yes?
Yes.
So you wrote that had that fast food company not offered any food options, its sales wouldn't have been down or would have been down. Because you have two negatives in the two different clauses, in the condition as well as in the result.
Yeah.
So it means that if they hadn't offered that, their sales wouldn't be down. Does that have sense?
No.
No, it will be the opposite. So you
Yeah.
have two options here. You could have the negative part in the result, or you could have the negative part in the condition.
Yeah.
So you decide which one would you like to change?
Wouldn't or
I
would.
would exactly. I would say the would.
In first instance, I typed the sentence correct, but I
Then you change
thought
your
about
mind.
me.
No, in this kind of conditionals, you have to think more about the meaning of the sentence, that the condition and the result have meaning, okay? But yeah, good, listo. You could also say, had that fast food chain offered any healthy food options, its sales could be down, for example. But of course, it depends on the meaning that you give the sentence. Listo? Let's see number 3. Carrie didn't develop a serious business plan. She missed a number of opportunities. So your condition is, and your conditional sentence is, please read it, Brian.
Had Terry not developed a serious business plan, she would have missed a number of opportunities.
You see? So you place the negative at the beginning. If that hadn't happened, she would have missed, right?
Yes.
You could also do the opposite. Had Terry developed a serious business plan, she wouldn't have missed a number of opportunities. You see?
Yeah.
That's why they say that more than one answer is possible, because we don't have the full context in order to know which one would be the truth or the certain one. But we can play with the options that we have, okay? Listo, good. Number 4. I decided to go to business school. I started my own business. So what would be the conditional sentence?
I decided to go business school. I wouldn't have started my own business.
There you go. Exactly. So if that hadn't happened, the result wouldn't be to start your own business, right?
Yes.
That's it. Very good. You got it. Questions about it?
No.
Okay. You could also use the negative at the beginning, right? You could say, I not decided to go to college, right?
I would have started my own business.
In that case, you could use negative in both. Hadn't I not decided to go to business school, I wouldn't have started my own business, right?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, listo, good. I'm glad and proud that you got it, because this is not sometimes easy in terms of the meaning. Okay, good. Now, remember, as we already said about the should, the could, the might, all of that. So in this case, we're going to use, remember the should, okay? So remember that we can use the should to replace if when we talk about future conditional or present real conditional sentences, okay? Meaning that their result has an effect or a consequence in the present, okay?
Okay.
Listo? Now, we're going to rewrite these sentences using should at the beginning in order to do the subject-verb inversion, okay? Let's see the example. If Sven goes into business for himself, I'm sure he'll do very well. So we could say, should Sven go into business for himself, I'm sure he'll do very well, okay? So we can do number 2, number 3, number 4, and if you can, number 5 to practice, okay? And still, you can do it in the chat, okay? And we will place them over here.
Okay.
And of course, you can play with the negative part as well if you need it, okay? In order to have meaning, more meaning to the conditional that you are creating.
What is rise?
Raise.
Raise.
When you get more salary, you have an
Okay.
increment of your salary. So when you get a promotion, okay? They pay you more because you do pretty good job.
What is swamp? Swamped?
When you have a lot of work to do, when you feel overwhelmed because of the workload that you have. Great. Yeah. I have to change the tool over here. Sometimes I forget, and then we end up going further. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, good. So number 2, if Annie gets a raise, she'll be able to pay her college debts. Could be transformed into.
Should Annie get a raise, she'll be able to pay her college debt.
There you go. Number 3, if Sheen is sick tomorrow, would you be able to work in his place?
Should she be sick tomorrow, would you be able to work in his place?
There you go. Number 4, if you find yourself swamped by work, hire an assistant.
Should you find yourself swamped by work, hire an assistant.
So do you see that swamped by work, it's a figurative expression?
Yes.
Because you don't usually say like overload with that. And if you look for swamped something or somebody with something or somebody, it's a figurative way of saying that you have a lot of workload in this case. The expression in Spanish would be inundado de o saturado de, okay? But in this case, it's good, okay? And you use it with the past form of with the passive, listo? As well.
Okay.
Good. And the last one, if a business is set up in a good location, customers will naturally come.
Should a business be set up in a good location, customers will naturally come.
So this one's a little bit better, right?
Yes.
Okay. Questions about it?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, we're gonna skip this since we are going to continue with the second part, which are adverb clauses of condition. Okay, can you remember some that we can, when we write, we can express, we can include different adverbs that are going to help us, let's say, join clauses, sentences, even ideas as, let's say, as linkers are connecting words. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So in these cases, we, instead of using if in the conditional clause, okay, we can use different expressions, which are adverb clauses, like assuming that, on the condition that, provided that, supposing that, or whether or not. We're going to that we have been using, in which you have a condition and then a result. But in this case, instead of using if or should or might or the ones that we already checked, we're going to start with the adverb clause. Listo? Then the subject, we're going to use simple past, the complement. And then as the result, we're going to use the subject, would, the base verb, and the complement. Okay? Let's see some examples. Provided that the company dealt fairly with me, I would be loyal to it. Or remember that you can also switch the order by starting with the result. I would be loyal to the company provided that, meaning that they dealt fairly well with me. So it means that they did well with me, right? Like they treat me well. Got it?
Yes.
So provided that could be could replace if. Okay, let's see more. You're going to use provided that and on the condition that to introduce a condition on which another situation depends. So you depend from this condition in order to have the result or the expected result that you want, okay? Let's see the examples. I would take almost any job provided that there were opportunities to learn, okay? Or you could also say, I would take a job on the condition that, so that is going to happen if they offer long-term security. If this doesn't happen, if the person doesn't have long-term security, he or she is not going to take the job. So that's why we said that the result depends strictly on the condition, okay?
Okay.
Listo? Okay, good. Now, let's check with whether or not. So whether or not it's going to introduce that a condition does not is not influenced by another situation, okay? I would quit a job that required me to be dishonest, whether or not we're high paying, okay? So the condition does not have a direct effect on the result in this case, okay? It does not it's not influenced by a different situation, okay? And you can also start by using whether or not. Whether or not I have enough money in the bank, I'm going to start my business. So it does not matter if you have enough money in the bank. You are still going to start your business. Same over here. You are going to quit your job if they require you to be dishonest. Doesn't matter if they pay you a good enough amount of money or not. You still are going to quit the job if they ask you to be dishonest. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Let's check the other. Okay. Now we have whether or not, and it is going to be used instead of if to introduce a condition on which another situation depends on. Listo? So in this case, the situation depends on the other one in order to be able to fulfill it, let's say, okay? Now, you can also use or not, okay, directly after the whether, or as we checked before, we can also use it at the end. Listo? You can decide. So let's see. Let's see number one. Whether or not it involves travel, I'm going to have to take this job, okay? So that is going to introduce the condition of the other sentence. So it depends, okay? Or the second one, whether it involves travel or not, I'm going to take this job, okay? So I am still going to take the job, okay? Whether it involves the travel or not. So if you notice, you can use it together or separated in the same condition sentence, right? In the first one. The result is going to be the same, okay? Got it?
Yes.
Listo. Now let's check another adverb, which is assuming that, okay? Entonces, this one would be assuming that it's going to introduce an assumption, as it says, okay, upon which another condition depends. So this one is going to depend of the if condition that you have, okay? I wouldn't mind working in an office assuming that, or on the condition that I had the freedom to be creative. Assuming that I had the freedom to be creative. Or I could say, I would agree to work overtime, assuming that the bosses showed their appreciation in some way. Listo? So these are different ones that we can, different adverb clauses that we can use, okay? And we have a few more. We can also use supposing that, okay? And it's also going to introduce a possible condition that could influence another situation. So let's see. Supposing I had the choice, the result would be I would prefer to work in a group rather than by myself. Or number two, supposing that I couldn't find a job, I'll be willing to relocate to another city. And then we have in the event, you can also include that, or you could say just in case, listo, to introduce a condition on which another situation depends, or you could also use in the event that, which is more formal, okay? So you could say, in the event that a replacement cannot be found, you'll have to take on extra responsibilities. Or you could also say, here's a number to call just in case the copy machine breaks down. Just in case is very common, okay? But you could also find in the event that. And then the last two, in order to finish, we have even if and if only. We already talked about if only in the past, but we're going to review a little bit about it. So we can use even if to introduce a condition in which if it is true, it doesn't affect the result of the situation, okay? You can also use it with still. You always usually pair it with still, okay? I'm still going to call in sick tomorrow, even if I'm not actually sick. When you say that you call in sick, it means that you call to your boss and say, hello, I'm sick. I cannot work today, okay? So the expression is call in sick, okay? So that is going to happen no matter that the person is not sick, okay? Or you could also say, even if my company offers me a raise, I'm still going to take a job with another firm. So I am going to change jobs, even if they ask me, they give me more money, okay?
Yes.
And only if introduces the condition that you or that the person wishes to be true. Hypothetical situation as we have already used it. If only I had known about that job opening, I would have applied for it immediately. So this one is going to express those hypothetical situations or regrets that we have in the past, right? If you had known about it. If only I were in charge of hiring people, I'll get everybody a pay raise. This is a thought that I would say a lot of people have, right?
Yes.
Okay. Questions about them?
No.
Unfortunately, we do not have game that you can use and that you practice to to make complete sentences using if only and unless. Because of time, we do not have that chance to play it because I have another class afterwards, but I'm going to send it to you through the email, through the chat, sorry, so you can practice it, okay? So
Okay.
it's about adverb clauses of condition using if only, and which one was the other one? If only and unless, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Brian. Now, questions about them?
No.
So that will be all. Thank you so much for joining me during this path in this lessons. Remember that if you have questions, if you need anything else, you can contact me through any that we have over here, okay?
Okay.